Welcome to What's Your Story? I'm your host, Sherita Williams, and today my guest is Brandon Wainwright. He is currently a police officer in the San Francisco Bay Area, and he's also a Reiki practitioner. Brandon, please help us welcome Brandon Wainwright to the show. Brandon, welcome.
Thank you, Sherita. It's nice to be here. I appreciate it.
So, Brandon, tell us a little bit about yourself and that adorable dog, Tyson.
Well, as you said, I'm a police officer in the San Francisco Bay Area. I joined the force about 12 years ago. Before that, I did a lot of different things. I worked in Hollywood for a while, and I was a personal trainer. I delivered for FedEx and DHL and a number of other things. I kind of was all over the place for a long time. But Tyson is my 8-pound Chihuahua Dachshund mix who changed my life drastically when he came into it back in 2005. Tyson passed away in 2018, and he changed my life in while he was alive, and he changed my life even more when he passed away, because I had to go through a whole process of healing and coping with his being gone, and it actually caused a whole spiritual awakening in me. So he is literally a spirit guide to me.
I think that's wonderful. Now tell our viewers, how did Tyson pass away?
He was 14 years old, and he had a brain tumor. It was benign, but it was encroaching on the parts of his brain that caused him to have seizures. And he ended up, it got so bad that we ultimately had to put him down because he was suffering. So, but other than that, he was a healthy dog, but things like that, it wasn't operable, unfortunately. So there was nothing we could really do about it.
Mm-hmm. So I understand from your book, The Tyson Gift, which I have a copy, an autographed copy. So thank you for your book.
You're very welcome.
It did yesterday.
I hope you enjoy it.
So tell the audience, how did Tyson death cause you to do a spiritual search, a soul searching event that catapulted in your life?
Well, I was one of those people that I was raised in an agnostic family. I was exposed to spiritual concepts and things like that, but I never was able to fully buy into organized religion. And I tried a number of times throughout my childhood and in my adult life as well, going to different churches. In fact, I was engaged to a very religious person, and ultimately my not being able to convert to her religion was what caused us to break up. So it was something for me. Spirituality was synonymous with religion, and so it was something that I had just decided it wasn't for me. I still believed in God. I believed in a higher power, but I had come to the conclusion that for me, the best approach was just to know that it's there, but accept that I was probably never going to have a specific definition of what that was, and that was okay with me. That ultimately, I made peace with that, and I was okay with it until Tyson passed away. So, I at that time I was 45 years old, and I had 45-year-old person. Obviously, I had my fair share of loss, and lost loved ones and even other animals earlier in my life. But Tyson was literally my soulmate. He was like a child, brother, and in some ways mentor, and so when he passed away, it was devastating on a level that no other death I'd ever come across was. And after a couple of days of trying to cope with his death, I realized that it wasn't just the loss that I was coping with, which obviously any death, especially when you're that attached, is going to be very devastating. But I realized that I was coping more with not knowing that he was okay, not knowing where he was. And I think a lot of people with animals come across this same phenomenon. And so in pretty short order, I realized that was what was happening. And so I found myself, I didn't necessarily think that I was going to have a spiritual awakening or anything, but I found myself trying to read books that were going to give me some comfort. And I found a book I went on Amazon and I punched in Animals in the Afterlife, specifically because I was hoping to read about it. I wasn't necessarily looking for nonfiction, but just something that would make me feel better in the short term. And I came across a book titled Animals and the Afterlife. And it was almost the same title as I had punched in. And this book, it's written by a naturopathic doctor who was very intuitive, had a very strong spirit, and had a lot of psychic type of experiences throughout her life. So it's all anecdotal stories about relationships she'd had with dogs, contacts she'd had with animals after they had passed on, even some of her animals that were reincarnated. And it was all nonfiction. And like I said, this is written by a doctor. This wasn't somebody that, that wasn't scientific. She's a naturopathic doctor, but very scientific, just not Western medicine scientific. And so I was so compelled by the stories that were in this book that it was like, oh man, if this is for real, this is something I should definitely explore, because I mean, for one, it's incredible. And two, maybe I can stay connected to my dog,
Brandon, with that, is that how you became a Reiki practitioner? Because you were trying to go in the afterlife to connect with Tyson?
The experiences that I had, because I was a huge skeptic, that was, I think that had a lot to do with, I know that had a lot to do with why I found religion to be so difficult, was that I couldn't buy into a lot of the beliefs, the specific beliefs. Like, I love the spirituality. I love the spiritual communities involved, but I can't buy into these specific things. And so when I started having these experiences that I had as a result of trying to explore, so I ended up doing consultations with Animal Communicators, which are they're animal mediums, if you will. So they're able to communicate with animal spirits, whether they're incarnated, so whether they're alive or whether they've passed on already. They're able to communicate with them. And I consulted with a number of them, and the first couple didn't convince me at all. In fact, they left me wanting. They not that they were not credible, skilled communicators, but for me, the information passed to me wasn't specific enough for me to prove it to me. In the book, the Animals in the Afterlife, the communications were so, just profound that I was looking for something like that. So, but when I got to the third one, it blew my mind. It described my relationship with him, my wife's relationship with him, my daughter's relationship with him, physical ailments that he had. It was very clear, just the whole, you could feel it in your gut that you were talking to this, you were communicating, through the medium with the dog. And then from there, I did a consultation with a medium, a human medium, which they actually can do animals as well. Mostly out of curiosity at that point. I just was like, well, my friend suggested that I do it. And I finally said, yeah, why not? And that one that proved it to me. My uncle came through, my grandma came through, my aunt came through, and Tyson came through. It was 2 solid hours of specific, accurate information that, that there's no way this person could have known unless they were talking to them. Uncle passed away 30 years ago. My grandma passed away 30 years ago. I have nothing about them on any of my social media. I hadn't even been thinking about them. In fact, I didn't know who was going to come through, but they weren't really even on my radar, because it had been passed on for so long. And I was so blown away by it. And it was so healing. It was such a healing experience, because with my aunt, or my grandma and my uncle in particular, I had gotten over their deaths, obviously, but there was still pain there that I didn't even know was there, and communicating with them was such an awesome experience. So at that point, I was convinced that, this is for real. We live on. There's an afterlife, and this definitely is not the end. And so once that happened, then I wanted to delve in myself and start to become more spiritual myself, and to be able to hone my own intuitive abilities, which, by the way, we all innately have those abilities if we're not taught to push them to the side, which, our society has a tendency to do that, to subvert people's intuitive abilities. And no, you're crazy. Lots of children observe things and their parents have a tendency to say, oh, no, you're just making that up, or it's your imaginary friend or whatever. Go ahead. I can see.
So Tyson, we're going to take a break, but when we get back, I want you to tell our viewers exactly what the practice of Reiki is, because a lot of people don't know. I know that it's a Japanese, because I'm a skeptic, so I may not believe. So when we get back, I want you to tell our viewers what the practice of Reiki is, and we'll be right back after this break with Mr. Wainwright. Thank you.
Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made for good people. That's why I love Happy Living's online e-course. It's an 8-week-long deep dive into you and the inspired life you want to live. The life you were put here on this earth to live. The one that you and only you can live. 8 weeks of lectures and ideas and topics and supporting materials and powerful self-improvement tools. All designed for you. All designed to help you create the tools and the power and the confidence you need to discover your purpose and to discover the life you were meant to live, and to feel incredibly inspired and motivated to decide you will live your life to its fullest. It's all designed to help you create the unique and distinct philosophy of you and your inspired life. Go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and save $100 with promo code WYTV7. And for every enrollment, I'll donate another $100 to WYTV7. For $300 and about 30 hours, I promise you'll never, ever be the same again.
We're back with What's Your Story? Today, my guest is Brandon Wainwright. He is a Reiki practitioner and also a police officer in the San Francisco Bay Area. Brandon, can you please expound and explain to our viewers exactly what the practice of Reiki is?
Yes, so I got into Reiki because I was trying to expand spiritually. And what Reiki basically, it's a Japanese form of energy healing. And it started in the early 1900s. But the reality is the energy's been around for thousands of years, but the best way to describe it is it's spiritually guided life force energy. So it's coming from the spiritual realm. It's delivered by laying on of hands. And actually, as you progress through it actually, you can send it through time and space as well. I won't get into too much detail here, but basically what it is it's an energy that you channel through your body, and for the good of the person that you're giving treatment to. And it's healing energy, but it can heal physical ailments. It can help you emotionally. You can give it to somebody to help them deal with a particular situation. It's literally energy coming from spirit. And the beauty of it is that anybody can do it. It's something that you don't have to have any particular spiritual knowledge. You just have to have an openness to it and a desire to help people. And spirit takes control. Spirit comes through your body and it heals them the way they need to be healed. The reality is that the practitioner is simply the conduit. And that's actually one of the hardest parts about it is not bringing your ego into it, but it's a really beautiful energy and it's life changing.
So being faith-based, that I am Christian, in my faith, and I may be skeptical of the afterworld, meaning, is it something witchcraft? I'm just giving that an example.
Sure.
Just being a Christian, you would think, oh God, we're bringing believing in life after death. How is that beneficial? I've right now say I've lost my pet. How would that be beneficial to someone who has lost their pet? This practice of Reiki.
Reiki specifically.
Yeah.
Well, I think in the sense that it will bring peace. If the person is suffering from an emotional wound, which of course, you lose a beloved animal, that's exactly what you're dealing with is an emotional wound. Reiki will definitely help you heal more quickly and it give you a sense of peace that a lot of things can't do. I mean, or it's simple just talking about it or just sitting and waiting for the healing to happen. It can speed that process up. For me it was healing because it was a natural progression that I was going on in my spiritual journey. But Reiki can help with any situation, whether it's dealing with the loss of a beloved pet. I've got a friend whose shoulder, he's in his 60s, and his shoulder, he had shoulder surgery. It healed up. His doctor told him it healed up faster than most 20-year-olds, and that was because his wife was giving him Reiki on a daily basis. I healed a friend's daughter she had chronic migraines for 2 years, dropped out of school, and had to quit her job, the whole 9 yards, tried everything just to make the migraine stop. As soon as I started sending her Reiki, they stopped like that and never came back.
So let me understand, and our viewers understand, is all Reiki is the art of touch. So how can that heal? Say, let's use the young lady with migraines. How can that heal, or is it something with the afterlife healing?
Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the afterlife. It's energy coming from spirit. So, we are in a physical realm here. There's the spiritual realm as well, and that energy is coming to you from that realm. So the healing is this spiritual energy that's coming into you, into your body, into your spirit, and healing you from there. That is something that the practitioner themselves, they're not doing it. It's this loving spiritual energy that's coming through your body and into the person that you're trying to give treatment to. It's as simple as that. As far as like the mechanical, the technical method that the Reiki is using to heal you is that doesn't even come into the mix when it comes to the practitioner. The practitioner simply has to have the desire and the love to help the person and be open up to that energy and have it channel through them, their body, their being, and into that other person. It's as simple as that. And the other interesting thing is you don't have to have the faith. You don't have to believe in it for it to help you. It's going to help you whether you want to, as long as you're open to it. You could, for example, tell me, hey, Brandon, I'm skeptical, but I'm open to the possibility that this could work. Or I'm open to receiving it. You don't even have to be open necessarily to the possibility. You just have to be open to letting me, try to help you with it. And it'll, it's fine. It's kind of an honor thing. You don't give Reiki to somebody that doesn't want it, because
Right. I understand. So Brandon, how do you feel when you feel Tyson's presence? Is it comforting to you, or what's the feeling like?
Yeah, I mean, when Tyson, when he came to me, usually it was in meditation, and I could feel his presence. I could feel this loving presence right there. When the first time that my first Reiki attunement that I got, he was there for that. I could feel him, and it was incredibly powerful. I started crying. It was really powerful. So Tyson is definitely a part of all this. He's come to me, I don't know if you've ever had an experience where you could, where like, there's different things that people experience, but like for me, I've heard him. He's barked at me several times in our house. He's barked in my face while I was sleeping. And I know it sounds crazy. Before all this happened, I would have been like, give me a break. You're imagining things. You just miss them so much. Your brain's filling these things in. It's not true. He really has come to me. So yeah, I mean, he's definitely with me all the time.
So what catapulted you to write this beautiful book, The Tyson Gift? What made you write this book?
Well, yeah. So when my first Reiki teacher, she came to me and told me that she asked me, have you been thinking about writing a book about this? And I the thought had been crossing my mind because I thought it could help people. I thought it was a pretty amazing story that could make a really interesting book. But it was just something that was kind of an idea. I wasn't really serious about it yet. And she told me that she believed that it was a big part of my life mission was to write this book and help people. And so I at first I was like, I had a hard time getting started on it, but eventually once I got rolling, it flowed really well. But the reason I wrote it was twofold. In terms of personal satisfaction, I got a lot of joy and satisfaction out of telling his story, talking about his, memorializing his life and honoring him. And it's, I think you'll find that it's similar in tone to Marley and Me. It's kind of similar to that. But the big reason that I wrote it, as far as serving my fellow man, my fellow souls on earth, was so to really communicate the reality that we all live on, that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, not humans that occasionally have a spiritual experience, very different, and I want people to realize that when we die, that's not it. We're not gone. We still exist. And I think for me, the main experience that I had that really taught me that was the death of this beautiful creature, this beautiful innocent dog. And I think because of that, I think most people that love their animals have that same type of experience with this unconditional love that's given to them by the dog and them giving to the dog. And I think because of that, it's really powerful. People can really relate to it. They get a cathartic experience out of it because they've had many of the same experiences that I describe in the book. But because of that, it can communicate that idea that we live on. And I want people to be comforted by that.
I think that's beautiful. So where can we purchase Tyson Gift?
The easiest way to get it is on Amazon.com. It's on BarnesandNoble.com. It's in a handful of bookstores. Doesn't have like widespread distribution, but you can also get it through my website, which is TysonsGift.com, and that'll take you to the Amazon page. You can also, if you go to the website, you can always email me through the website. There's a button where you can click on it and say contacts us. They can email me, and if they want a signed copy, I'd be happy to, sign a book for them and send it to them. They just have to pay for postage, but I'd be happy to do that.
So what is the one thing, and me being a pet lover, what is the one thing you recommend or not recommend a person say after someone has lost their beloved pet? Because they are like our children.
Well, I think I would say the main thing I wouldn't say would be, come on, man, it's just a dog, or it's just a cat, or you'll get over it. You can get another one. I know how hard it is, but they're just a dog. Or I think that's the main thing, is you don't belittle the significance of it, because, as you know, losing a pet is every bit as powerful as losing a human. And so I think just comforting them, letting them know that you understand how much it hurts, and that. But as far as what you say to them, I think the main thing is to say, they're your baby, man. They're with you still. They're always going to be with you, and encourage them to see that and believe that. And that's the thing about this book, or Tyson's Gift, is that I think if you read it, and you read it take it for face value, don't take it as some kind of a contrived manipulation. Just take it as it's the truth of what my experiences were. I think it could, you'll understand that is true, that they do live on. And also I would say, be careful. Don't get another animal too soon, because for most people, because that's almost like being on the rebound in a relationship, where you're like trying to put a Band-Aid on it, and that sets your new dog or cat or bird or whatever it might be up for failure, because they're never going to be able to fill those shoes. And it also sets you up for failure, because you're looking for something in them that they can't provide you. So you're better off sitting, being with it, feel the richness of the love that comes with that morning. Because that's the thing too, is that it's painful, but the reason it's so painful is because it's so rich in love. You know what I mean?
Yes. So why does it mean so much? Just share with our viewers. Why does it mean so much to you to keep Tyson alive, his memories, by sharing with others? Why is that so important to you?
Well, because he literally turned my life upside down, changed my life for the better. And it's my way of honoring and thanking him for that. But it's also the power that he had in my life, I think will come through to other people. And they'll be able to feel that power as well. So it's a way of harnessing Tyson's love and his spiritual power for the rest of the world to be impacted by. There's there. Oh, I like it.
So I lost my dog about 20 years ago, and it took me, I'll say, that time, in that 20 years, I said I would never get another dog. But
Yeah.
I do. I have one. This is Simba.
Simba.
It's so hard to
He's
heal
beautiful.
after this, So what is the one thing that you would tell our viewers to do after they lose a pet?
Just give yourself time. Be patient with yourself. Take comfort in knowing that you're not alone. That every pet lover out there that really opens their heart to a pet is going to go through that same amount of pain, and know that it's pure. Know that it's coming from a beautiful place, and just be patient with the process. Don't tell yourself, hey, this is stupid. It's over. It's just a dog. Like I had a friend at work. About a year ago, he lost his dog, and I reached out to him. Hey man, I know how hard that is, and I'm here for you if you want to talk about it or whatever. And he can't. His response was he was old, and it's like, no man. And it hurt him enough to where he did a post on Facebook about it. But then when you talk to him about it, he wants to push it off. Don't do that. Allow yourself and honor them and their memory by giving it the credibility that it deserves, and just mostly just be good time.
So Brandon, tell us again where we can purchase Tyson's Gift.
You can get Tyson's Gift on tysonsgift.com. That's what I'd recommend. That's my website. You can click on the Shop Now button, and it'll take you to the Amazon page, or you can reach out to me directly, and I can get you a copy in the mail, barnesandnoble.com. Yeah, I wish I could say any of your major retailers, but it's not in every bookstore. So,
Well, so Brandon, what's your story? We'd like to thank our sponsors, WYTV7. We would like to thank our viewers and thank you for being our.
my pleasure. Thank you for having me.